comes with the whirlwind of opportunity, and you'll feel the rush of getting things done. Perhaps you also want to pause and reflect as well as you continue. But the year ahead obviously holds a lot of promise. A symphony of astrology, transits are also beckoning at this point to help us tap into our inner potential, look at innovation, and unleash the best versions of ourselves. These cosmic movements, they're more than just astrological events. They're also an invitation to evolve and to really embody the change that we wish to see in the world. We're going to discuss all of this and more for what is happening in the cosmic world to come. We're going to be joined by Humanistic Astrologer Matlhodi Ntuli. Matlhodi, good morning and thank you for your time. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me. Happy New Year to you too.
I was looking at the picture behind me, and obviously every star inside means something different. So you're going to help us unpack all of this, because there's the sun, the moon, the different energy celestial bodies as well playing its part. And I wonder if we can start things off by taking stock of what happened last year, 2025. What was it indicative of astrologically? And then if we're going to look at 2026, what's in store on that front? Break it down for us.
Of course, no problem. So in 2025 was a pretty hectic year astrologically. I think it's more of one of the more chaotic years that we've had in a very long time. I think it represented a year of endings and completion. So I've definitely had a lot of people who were resonating with this message. And, in the Chinese and numerology system, it was the year of endings, right? And, the year of the snake, which represents all the shedding, transformation, and the chaotic shifts that come with that. And now, stepping into 2026, we are looking at the year of the fire horse in Chinese astrology, but also the year of one numerology speaking. We can expect quite a lot of fast movements. I think the past few years have been quite slow. As you try something new, it can be quite slow. You'll make resistance. But now I think things are about to take off really quickly, and that may induce quite a lot of anxiety, just the shift in energy. But we can get used to the energy of just having more vitality. And what I also, see happening is quite a lot of advancements in like AI and technology and communication systems and the like. So I'm not sure if you want me to go in a little bit deeper with that at the moment.
Yes, I want you to unpack that, because I'm trying to look at the difference between humanistic astrology and perhaps a prediction-based astrology. I don't even think I fully understand what the terms mean. So tell us a little bit more, and then divulge a few of those trends that you're witnessing.
Of course. So, a humanistic astrology, which is what I do, looks at the movement of planets as to how they affect people more psychologically in your actual lived reality. And someone who does predictive astrology is likely just looking at transits and what they need for the collective. A humanistic astrologer likes to deal with people on a one-to-one basis and kind of see how it really affects their personal lives, given their own personal charts. So that would be the difference. Okay. But I obviously still have the ability to look at the transits as well, because it's important for being able to at least help someone through any chaotic or major breakthrough that they're going through in their lives. Yeah. And
so maybe you can, we're looking at, so please tell us a little bit more about how it can be used as a tool for self-awareness. Perhaps look at what's destined at this point.
Sure. So as a tool for self-awareness, I think astrology, one would need to look at their respective birth charts. So when you were born, it's almost like you have this snapshot of where the planets were and in their exact positions when you were born. And an astrologer kind of takes that information and has a look at how that impacts on your characteristics, what talents you likely have, when certain shifts might happen for you in your particular life. And even career-wise and relationship-wise and, family-wise, all of these sort of dynamics can show in your birth chart at birth. But when we're looking at where we are currently, that's what transits mean. It's the current movement of planets today. So, looking at 2026, we have a lot to be excited for, but also quite a lot of shifts and changes. And the first thing I want to speak about in this regard is Uranus will be entering the sign of Gemini. Which is something that has been spoken quite a lot about in the astrology community. And this represents the rise of, AI and tech advancements and the shift in communication structures. And Uranus as the planet represents sudden changes and breakthroughs. So just things just changing overnight and what it seems like it would change overnight. What it does induce for us as a collective is this anxiety and nervous system, hardship, just kind of feeling really restless. I have all this like underlying overthinking, anxiety. I'm not too sure why my brain is on overdrive. So I do warn people of this kind of coming energy of just feeling very overwhelmed from a Uranus perspective in that regard. But it is really exciting energy, and I think it's really in everyone's favor to get acquainted with AI. And I know there are mixed feelings about it, but to not be left behind in where the world is going, because it's most certainly going to go in that direction in the next few years. And this transit lasts about 7 years as well. So in the next 7 years, we're definitely going to see those changes. And we're also looking at Neptune and Saturn, which are going to be moving in Aries. So this has definitely got to do with a lot of how can I make my dreams a reality? And, use my ability to be disciplined, be structured, and really don't distract yourself, I suppose, from the inner urges to do something, because Aries is a fire sign. So it's about energy that moves very creatively, very passionately. Be assertive in the things that you want to do, but don't be distracted by things that aren't really worth your while. It's a very independent sign. It's a very fiery sign. It's about passion as well. So we're looking forward to that as well as a transit. And this happens around, I want to say, February as well. Okay. So that's about next week. It's already kicking off.
Matlhodi, what does that mean for our emotional well-being and the collective mental health well-being as well? I mean, we're speaking about this communication AI that also has a toll in your nervous system. So if we're looking at remedies for grounding, silence, stillness as well, I mean, how intentional do we need to be on that front for personal growth?
Of course, and I think that's a very valid question, because we have to look into, especially with having our digital devices in our hands, we need to find where we can sort of switch off and not be so glued to our screens, because it's so easy for life to exist purely on a screen nowadays. And I think that's only going to become worse with the development of AI and tech advancements. So I'm saying grounding activity needs to be very much, focused on building communities and existing outside. Like they say, go and touch grass, talk to people one-on-one in real time, and, find ways in which to find stillness that's away from devices, and pick up a physical book, what I'm saying, having tangible experiences with life that don't exist on a screen. I think that's very, very important for our mental health going on. But also to be able to speak out and journal. I think speak out on the things that you feel as opposed to sort of internalizing them. We're going to be thinking a lot and feeling a lot. So I think having those opportunities to speak to people, real people, and write it out in a journal if that's not something you have access to as well.
So, Matlhodi, I mean, on that note, it impacts relationships as well. How do we navigate it using those, the birth chart, celestial bodies as well? Asking this because from the relationship, the interpersonal relationships, that extends into our country, that extends into the continent, to the world as well. So what does this also mean at large for some of the phenomenon that you are perhaps forecasting?
So, of course, like I mentioned before, we have Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries. And from I want to say even just a global relational perspective, one can assume there will be quite a lot of conflicts. And I think it started already. Aries does represent, the fiery warrior. It's really that war energy. And I think collectively people's, tempers might flare up quite easily. So I have been advising that people watch their tempers and their temperaments. To be able to think just before you speak and act. Aries is quite impulsive. So I think even in our personal relationships, as we are affected by people's words and we feel quite moved for what it is that they're telling us, to just take a beat before we respond actively to what is happening around us, as it can cause conflict quite a lot, especially in interpersonal relationships. And like I said, communication being very, very important as well alongside this. Say what you mean and mean what you say, and also just obviously have a really friendlier tone towards people in this time. Globally as well, conflict, war, and that sort of experience as well might be underway. We already are seeing that happen, and I think this transit might exacerbate those sort of conflicts in the world.
Okay, you spoke about some of the points that are going to happen. Actually, stopped in February. I know that there are also 12 months in the year according to the Gregorian calendar. So, I mean, perhaps you could speak to some of the key periods that we should be looking out for. Where going to be shifts. I know that earlier on we were speaking to Kate, and she was telling us there was a new moon, it was a full moon, a wolf moon. So that also means something. Tell us a little bit more about some of those key points we should be looking out for, the challenges, but also some of the opportunities that we can then navigate through this personal growth era.
Amazing. So I think first to kick off quite a big full moon for us would be around February 17th. That's the Aquarius full moon. That sort of kicks off what I was speaking about before, which is the Chinese astrological New Year. And that would kick off what they consider the fire horse year. And so we are kind of parting ways with more of that shedding transformative energy, and we're stepping into the ability to act from our passions, to act from our fire, to be able to actually make things happen in real time. Like I said, the energy was quite slow before that. So I think that, new moon, that full moon in Aquarius on the 17th of February should kick off this energy quite nicely. And around February as well, I spoke about Saturn kind of moving into Aries and leaving Pisces officially. So that's going to be quite nice. Just, again, the ability to act on our actual impulses instinctively. So I think we have a lot of energy to look forward to. We've been pretty lethargic. I don't know if this is something you can explain as well. There's been a great lethargy in the air, exhaustion, not a lot of energy. And I think with these coming transits, we're about to have a lot more vitality. And I think that's something people can look forward to.
Okay.
And then sorry? Oh, okay.
No.
I want to say June, July, we have Jupiter, the planet of luck and abundance, that will be making its transit into Leo and leaving Cancer, which is something a lot of people are looking forward to as well. So Jupiter represents luck, abundance, and growth. So we find ourselves having more opportunity in the parts of our chart that Leo sits in. And that is obviously different for us all. So one would have to look where that sits for their individual chart. But as a general notion, this is something to look forward to. It's great energy. Leo is the sun, right? It is ruled by the sun. So we expect warmth, we expect passion, we expect creativity and pride in who we are as people as well.
Okay, I'm also, a birdie's whispering in my ear here to ask about Virgos as well, and perhaps also Libras. So perhaps you can zoom in on those signs as well, please.
Perfect. So I actually had it down here in my notes that, Virgos specifically can look forward to their career changes, especially if you're a Virgo rising. So I like to use something called our rising signs because that's more accurate when you're looking at your specific astrological shifts. We all have rising signs. So if you are looking at horoscopes, please make sure you look at your rising sign and not your sun sign. I think this gives you more of an accurate take. But so when we're looking at Virgo risings, they will have a lot of activity happening in their space of careers. Please just remind me, I think you spoke about Libras as well. They're experiencing quite a lot of activity in their relationship spaces, right? Which is their seventh house, one-on-one relationship dynamics, potentially even business partnerships, just anywhere where you have this investment in a one-on-one experience with someone. So that can be something that, Libra risings definitely expect, whether it's a new relationship, kind of even revisiting whether this is something that is for you if you're currently in one. Perhaps you just are a different person and you want different things, and it might be something that you possibly don't want for yourself anymore, or even just new commitments. If you are someone who has been in a relationship or interested in someone wanting to advance that to a new level, or Libra risings as well.
Okay, Matlhodi, lastly, what about Geminis? And then as we wrap up, a cosmic message to individuals, South Africans, the world at large, to carry into the new year.
100%. So for Geminis, we have shifts in the self and an identity taking center stage for them. I think with Uranus, which I spoke about earlier, moving into their first house, they can definitely expect something in their actual core identity to shift and change. Be it that you've been tired of how you look, you probably want to take on a new regimen in exercise. Style dynamics might shift for Gemini risings, particularly just even how they carry themselves in the world. That's definitely something that they can expect in the next coming shifts of Uranus going into Gemini. And, as for, I guess, a summary or a cosmic message to everyone in South Africa and the world. I think that we definitely have a lot of change happening, and I think that with this amount of change that's going to take place, like I said, we've been moving at a much slower pace globally, given the cosmic setup. Please do not overwhelm yourself with any level of change, but also don't be afraid of change. I think there is an innate fear of things being different, but the world is changing and we need to kind of be prepared for it, but also mentally be able to keep up with it in ways that aren't detrimental to our well-being. So like I said, to take on this change and channel your energy. Like I've been speaking about this, when you have so much vitality and there's this burst of energy happening around you, it can turn into, frustration and overwhelm and anxiety quite easily. Find hobbies, find ways, and I really speak on hobbies quite a lot for this coming year. This is where this energy can be channeled into positively and not affect you as a person. Anything that you've been thinking that you're interested in doing, now is the time to sort of put your best foot forward and go full steam ahead with that ambition, that goal, that hobby, or that achievement that you've been looking forward to.
Okay, well, you have set the tone there. Thank you for that message. You're going to leave the conversation there, but we clearly have still over 360 days left to go for this year, for this Gregorian calendar. Matlhodi Ntuli, thank you for joining us at this hour. Humanistic Astrologer Matlhodi, talking to us about how we can align ourselves to tuning with the cosmic world, looking at astrology, transformation as well, and what the cards also say. What's on the cards for us for 2026 and beyond as a people.